Okay, and we are. 1 sec. And go. Hey guys, you're with Dr. Charlie Webb here. Wake Up with Webb, and as you know, this is a show all about conscious living. And I love to bring on folks, as you know, that my background's physician, and I coach other doctors. So a lot of times, obviously, I'm going to have practitioners on that think consciously, that think out of the box, that think about making this a better world, that step out of the main line and a different reality. They choose to live in their realm, and it's a beautiful realm that we can live in. But sometimes we don't know what the real realm is. It's like living in the Matrix. Every time I go back and I watch the Matrix, it's like, man, that's really happening today. I mean, it's crazy that we can't discern information because where the information's coming and how we're being indoctrinated. And I had a quarterly training just a couple of weeks ago, and one of my clients, beautiful lady, Dr. Carol Penn, her husband, Diem Jones, was with her because he's there to support her. And I'd had a brief conversation with him before, but we started talking about a documentary called Social Dilemma. If you haven't seen it, guys, you owe it to yourself and your family, yes, your kids, to watch this documentary, hour and 20 minutes or whatever. It'll blow you away and help you understand the dangers into diving this and not knowing what you're diving into. But Diem has got just an incredible background and an understanding of these things. And he brought up a term called technoprimal. And so we started the conversation, and here we are today. And Diem, I'm so glad that you're here, man. And I want to talk. You've got an interesting background, and so I want you to share that a little bit. But we've been talking for a while already, guys, about his relationship and how he met with Carol, and just it's just a beautiful thing, the way people come together and how we can have come from different places and different thoughts and everything, and be able to come together seeking the truth and find the truth. And so we're going to talk about that. And so, Diem, if you'd like to start here, but guys, what some of the things we're going to hit, let me tell you, because I want you to hang in with me. We're going to discuss the technoprimal manifesto, the reality of this current world, who's pulling your strings. We're going to go into the social dilemma a little bit. Then we'll talk about some of his projects and how you might be able to learn a little bit more from Diem. So Diem, again, thank you for being here, man. I appreciate you. You know how much I appreciate you and love what you're doing out there. And I love that you think. I love that you live consciously. So you tell us a little bit about yourself so the audience can start understanding where this talk's going to go.
Well, Charlie, thank you for having me on the show. I really admire you, your network, what you've been able to accomplish, and your mission of service to the world in terms of helping people find wellness and helping people who can help people find their wellness. So thank you for including me in your ongoing dialogue. And through our discussions, I'm ready to claim you as a brother.
All right, man. I'm with you.
Know about your mother, my mother, they might have disagreements, but somehow or another, we're connected.
Yeah.
But, I come to, as you know, came to FPC with my wife, Dr. Carol Penn. And I'll tell a little bit about that story shortly. But, how I came forward to the earth was, I was an Army brat. My father was one of the first 5 African-American command sergeant majors in the integrated Army. And I was born in France, went to grade school in Germany, 7th grade, Fargo, North Dakota, and ended up going to high school in Seattle. Needless to say, having this military upbringing was impactful. My father and my mother both made me understand anything is possible if you believe in yourself. And there were words that weren't allowed in our household. I went to live with my father when I was 9, and I said, Dad, I can't. And let me tell you, Charlie, about the backhand I got. Wow, son, you cannot use that word in this house. However, you can say you have not yet achieved your objective, but that word, wow. By the time he raised his hand the 3rd time I grabbed it, I said, Dad, I got it, But they fed me, and I was a, very, very adventurous youngster. Could read everything that I, could put my hands on, and decided early on that I was very much interested in healing, but I thought that the traditional cycle to get to being sanctioned as a healer or wellness expert was a little bit too long for me. So I chose communications, and my undergraduate degree is in filmmaking from American University, and my graduate degree is in broadcast management. But coming along, thinking was something that I was instructed was okay to do. As a kid, I used to see what was in front of me, and then I could see me looking at that. It was like the third eye was always there, and I could see it. I thought I was, I said, is this how everybody thinks? And I came up with a term, and I said, well, I understand what schizophrenia is, so I'm schizosane. I'm sanely schizophrenic. That was how I called myself. But, I think learning to watch, learning to listen, those are such key elements that we have been programmed not to acknowledge. And I know that everything we've ever seen, smelled, or touched, we have a record of. It's just a matter of access. When I was 5 years old, 1959, I saw a computer schematic, and that was my first cuss word. I'm not going to repeat it here because we've got, who knows what type of audiences that you've attracted here, but my mother ran upstairs and said, "What's wrong?" I said, "Mom, that's supposed to be my tool. It wants me to learn its language. That is BS. And I didn't say BS, okay? She said, "Okay, I don't know if you're right or wrong, but right now go to the bathroom, put the bar of soap in your mouth and hold it for 90 seconds. But that was my opinion. So I didn't touch a computer until 1981, when somebody explained to me that the computer was designed on based on the hierarchical filing system of the human brain. I heard that from my roommate in LA. He sat me in front of a CPM computer. I didn't sleep for 2 weeks. I was creating databases. And that's began my official journey with technology, because, technology is a tool, and tools, can fool us. Do you hold the tool in your hand, or does the tool hold you in its hand?
Yeah.
And I think we can be confused and led by the programmers. And I'll say, a few words about programming, because, we have been exposed to everything that we need to know. We're in denial of our own truth, denial of other truths, and we're being guided by a dominant culture that wants to guide us so they can do what? Make money. Every industry there is seems to, unfortunately, focus on that aspect of the exchange. And I can't buy that. I can't buy that. I was a film major. I was an avid film watcher. And early on in life, I learned and came to accept that, pardon me, that phone was ringing and I'm trying to ignore it. And maybe I should move it out of the way. Science fiction is test marketing. I've lived in multiple cities. I've lived in Silicon Valley for 16 years. I've lived in Washington, D.C. for years. I've seen things on shelves that could be frightening. And I've seen things in movies that were truly, I say, test marketing. What did Dick Tracy use? A phone on his wrist.
Yeah. So let me pause you just for a second. You
Sure.
said a couple of things, and I want the audience to really dive into this. Number one, you said you gave yourself permission to think. And we all know that we're being dominated now, and we're being told, if you think, you're selfish. If you think, you're not part of the culture. If you think, who are you, right? It's been to push down, to silence, to muzzle, right? And we're seeing everyone muzzle now with her mask. But then what you just said is science fiction is to test. And I know what you're saying here. I think the audience does too. Is just like when the movie came out, that was what's the virus movie I'm thinking of that got popular since this COVID contagion.
Contagion, right.
Test. I've got an interesting piece. Don't let me forget. I want to get it to you. A friend of mine sent it. He's a hospital administrator. Sent it to me yesterday. It's very interesting, mind-blowing about the background of COVID and how long ago it started and who's profiting on it and who has the patents on and all that, but I'll send it to you. But yeah, whether it's about the watch, whether it's about, let's test the response of the audience and see where we can go with this and see how we can profit. COVID's generated billions and billions and billions on people that have a right to research it. Not everyone does. Mm-hmm. It's patented. On who to test it. Not everyone does. It's patented. Who can do a vaccination for it. All of it is under control. And they got tested well before it happened. So continue. I just wanted to make certain everyone's understanding where this thing's going.
Well, no, thank you. And you mentioned thinking. So part of my background also intersects with the entertainment industry. And I was part of a music group and began in the 70s. George Clinton and the Parliament Funkadelic. I had various roles there, but from photographer to creative director, music video producer, co-writing, co-producing, and then I became his medical advisor. And it was fascinating to be around such a vessel, that things would come through him and he would say things because they came through him. The meaning sometimes had to be told to him or how people interpreted what you just said. There was a lyric we had, think, it ain't illegal yet.
Yeah, no, yet. No
Okay.
kidding, man.
You know, the lyrics that came out of this universe that we had, One Nation Under a Groove, that was 1977, platinum record. Paint the White House Black, 1974. I mean, there's so many messages that came out, and I took them to heart. Just to give you an example, and we'll go back. He had a little silly line. There was a record out called You Shouldn't Have Bit Fish. The lyric was, with a mine attached to his behind, and a line attached to his mind, and a line hooked to his behind, man was nuclear fishing. You shouldn't have bit fish. There we were, 1978, Hampton Auditorium outside, 50 people were waving Bibles backstage. And George grabbed me and he says, what's going on? And I said, I don't know. Well, 3 weeks later, we were in Philadelphia and the Fruit of Islam were there, and they made a wall and they turned and let us in. He said, and I'm also called Wu, another name of mine, Dr. Wu. He said, Wu, I'm not taking another step till you tell me what's going on. I said, repeat after me. With a hook attached to his mind and a line to his behind, man was nuclear fission. You shouldn't have bit fish. Yeah. I said, so you're saying if you don't want fishy breath, don't eat the fish. He said, yeah. I said, so another thing you could interpret that as, if you don't want to get holy, don't read the good book. I said that stuff. Scared the doodle out of him, right? But, you know, as artists, as speakers, as thinkers, whatever comes from us, we have an interpretation of. That could mean something totally different to someone else, whether it's in rhythm, whether it's in language, and we have to be open to that and learn from it. You know, you and I grew up, I know I'm a little bit older than you, but, you know, we grew up in times where having a different opinion was enlightening.
Yep.
Woo,
we said that today. It's colorful, right?
Yeah. So why not? You know, this, you know, and I always say, you know, when we point our finger, you did it, you did it. Well, guess what? There's one finger at you, 3 fingers at me, and 1 up to God. So I can't blame anything on you without putting me in check first.
Yep.
You know, if you didn't understand something that I presented, it's not your fault. I'm the presenter. I've got to up my game as a presenter to make sure, right, whether that's speaking slower, speaking another language, using different terminology. So, you know, life.
Simply connecting, right? Simply understanding, having empathy, and trying to put yourself in another person's shoes. It's like we talked about the other day that you would think exactly like me. Excuse me. You think exactly like me if you had read all the books that I read and studied all the mentors I read. And I'd think exactly like you, if the opposite. But we've studied different things. And you may have a look at something and believe completely. That's the complete truth. And until someone can adapt and say, I understand where you're coming from. I read what you just read. That's intriguing. Now, let me show you my point of view and how I came to that. Now you're open and can go, oh, I see that too. Let's come together and seek the truth, right? And sometimes it's just there's opinions and stuff, but sometimes there's an absolute truth. The speed of light, it's an absolute truth. There's a lot of people that can say otherwise. At least what we know today in science today, it's a truth. You can't say, well, your truth is the speed of light is 130,000. I mean, it's 186,000 miles per hour squared, right? I mean, that's it. We can't. It's not something else. So until we get to that point, we have to. Is it your opinion, or is it already established? Otherwise, can we have a conversation? Can we enlighten each other? Can we adapt? Because I found, I've got friends in all kinds of countries, and we seem different when we don't understand their language because we're not connecting. When we all speak the same language, we find out, oh, so you did that with your kids too? Oh, you grew up in Iran and you behaved just like us. You went and caught lightning bugs and there's no difference in us. We're all the same.
I mean, to that point, we have more in common than we do different, but we've been programmed to think about our differences first.
You got it.
I believe there's one race, it's the human race. Okay. And, this, once again, when I say there's a culture that wants us to to be at odds, they're the ones that are profiting.
That's right.
So if we think about our differences, we push against one another. Yeah. And if we embrace one another, wow, what power there is in that.
Well, it's even pushed us to when we describe our friends, right? So if you have a friend that's 6'2" and 240 pounds, when someone's asking you about Dawn, you don't get, well, my friend who's 6'2", 240 pounds. You don't say, well, Charlie, my friend, my bald friend. And I don't say, Diem, my black friend. I say, Diem. Now, if there's a group of people, what can you describe? He's the black one right there. Oh, he's the bald one right there. But we don't start a conversation off identifying your appearance or something. We talk about the person. And our culture now tries to define, like you say, whether I'm white, I'm black, I'm whatever that, I'm Islam, I'm Christian. That's trying to get in to keep us apart so we don't ever have a togetherness.
Yeah. And you mentioned language. Having traveled as I did, I used to speak, it was a period in time in my life, I had 9 languages under my belt. But you know what? We don't communicate by language. I think we communicate by rhythm. Shut down your ears and watch.
Yeah.
And you can pretty much get a sense of what somebody's trying to relate to you.
Yeah.
So, and if you listen close enough, you can even start picking it up. But with language, showing those points of commonality, whenever you travel, learn how to say, please, thank you, the basics, and the doors will open up. But rhythm is something that's, the first drum on the planet was the human heart. That is the beat. And I had in my journey through the entertainment industry, I managed an artist in the 80s. His name is Frank Cologne, internationally renowned percussionist, who actually coined a phrase in '84 called techno-primal. And I'm saying to him, Frank, what are you talking about? He says, well, look, there's technology, and then there's the primal way. And we have to find a balance in between. We can't go all tech, we can't go all digital, and we can't go all analog. So I mentioned that at the FPC Quarterly in the chat, and that's what began this conversation. Is, can we put the spotlight on you? Frank has written a manifesto that explains it's not only techno-primal percussion, but it's gone into techno-primal living. Because how do we find that balance? How do we make that technology work? How do we use it and not have it use us? How do we have the computer here instead of there? I mean, come on now. It's a computer. It's a car. And all of the things that we as Homo sapiens have created are basically emulating Mother Nature. You know, transportation's transportation, so you can move faster, so you can move without using your feet. Okay, well, you know, I'm of the opinion that we've been taught we have 5 senses. I know of 16 and practice 9. So as long as they keep us dumbed down, because I say as a society, we've been numbed and dumbed down, so we don't think beyond a box. Who says? Why should we limit ourselves? You know, why not? But, you know, it's because we get in the rat race. We get in that, we got to keep going this way. You know, one of the upsides of the pandemic to me is people are looking, have the opportunity, not everybody's doing it, to look in the mirror and see something instead of my eyebrows, you know, okay, I'm gone. No, 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 look in those eyes.
Yeah.
And what do you see? What do you understand that you didn't understand before? And just to be able to ask yourself questions so you can, you know, discover and uncover. You know, most of my creative work, I've, you know, written several books, several CDs. I'm, you know, creatively, most people think of me more as a poet. Some people think of me as a musician. I ran creative writing programs at 6 different universities. I was the director of an MFA writing program at St. Mary's College of California. Writing program I co-founded and directed for 20 years, was the only multi-genre creative writing program exclusively for writers of color in the world. And just bringing together people of color who have been told to fight one another, it hit me hard then. I said, wow, look at all of these walls coming down and people acknowledging the walls are coming down. You know, as you said, oh, you did that too. We used to do that. I mean, if you look at, so back to music, every instrument you can put your hand on now, most likely exists somewhere else around the planet. Maybe called something different. It may be made out of a different material.
Yeah.
There's a little flute called an ocarina. Ocarinas are made by wood and clay, out of metal. They're big shapes, small shapes, all around the world. So, you know, the focus is gotta be, we gotta, I believe, you know, because look, as I've said to you, a tail ain't nothing but a booty, and a booty is nothing but a butt. We all have one and we all sit down. So these are things that I believe. I've always spent most of my career trying to help people think, not to follow, think.
Yeah.
If someone thinks about it and they make a decision that's different than mine or different than I think they could, that's fine. I just want people
do you think, because, and again, the other day when I was walking around outside and we were chatting, you know, I see this so often. And again, I'm working on myself, right? I'm more mature today. I listen more. I've discovered I'm not always right. Okay. And it's been a blessing, right? It's a great heartfelt place to know so many people have so much incredible uniqueness that I want to learn from, no matter who they are. And I think from what I see, again, we become addicted to the technology, and instead of it being we're holding the tool's holding us, right? Some people just can't let go of this. And so their thinking, their ability to think automatically, kind of like, I don't have to think about breathing, it happens. And it seems to me that thinking has become something that we have to actually, instead of it being a normal thing because we don't have interference, it becomes, oh, I need to take a breath. I need to think. And people don't want to work. I see a lot of people that don't want to make the effort to think. They just go, well, why should I think? The people coming from this screen thought for me. And of course they must be right. They're authorities, right? They're in the media. Of course they know everything. So I'm just going to go along with that. And it's a sad thing because in their hearts, their intentions are good. Some of the differences we see on both sides, if I truly believed with this person, I can understand why they want to stand up for that. But when they find out and they seek the truth, they go, oh my God, I was standing up from something that maybe isn't so good because I haven't made the decision to think. And it's almost kind of like it's easier for me to allow something to take control of my mind, a screen, to take control of it so I can veg, then to pick up a book, to do some research, to read some poetry, to learn a new riff on my guitar or whatever. And it's those types of actions that will retain our ability to consciously think. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And I know that when we talked about social dilemma, we saw this. These guys came out, and again, guys, I know you've probably been on here for a while, but if you're just getting on, you're watching Wake Up with Webb. I've got Diem Jones here with me, and we're talking about reality of our current world. We've been talking about techno-primal. We've been talking about social dilemma. And I'm coming back to that documentary for a second, because this is where this conversation started with me and Diem, is there's a place for social dilemma. I mean, there's a place for social networking, all that. In fact, there's a ton of people now, because of this censorship and because of this that's happening on Facebook and shutting you down. My whole company website or Facebook site and everything got taken down a couple of weeks back because of the word freedom. Freedom was in our site. And so people are leaving Facebook in the masses, and they're going to these different places like Parler that are promising them, we're not going to do that. And in fact, if you guys watch Social Dilemma, some of the people that were involved in these companies like Facebook, when asked, okay, we have a problem. We know this, that you're the user, you're the product, and they're going to take advantage of you to get you addicted. So how do we change that company? And these people came straight out and says, you can't, because that one is built, the profit's built on that platform. Unfortunately, it went bad. So there has to be these new platforms. And I pray, I hope that these other places that we go will have learned from this, and people are coming alerted now. I'm going to come give you a chance, but don't do to me what Facebook do. Don't do that to my children. I'll leave you too. And there's this awakening of this, and people are, again, I'm seeing this. My hope is this, that they're starting to go, wait a minute, I can't have them thinking for me. I have to, and I have to have the freedom of that. And I have to have the freedom and know that I can be in a space that people like you and I can come together from different places and different understandings and different faiths or whatever it might be, and come together and have a colorful, delightful conversation and learn from each other.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, when you were speaking at the quarterly, you were talking about programming, and you know, one of the comments I made was, well, one of the programmatic techniques is to collect data on you.
That's right.
And so they're doing it, and they're disguising it as something you like. And my comment to everyone is, doesn't everybody like a cookie? Now, cookie is a monstrous thing. The cookies embedded in the web are gathering every little bit of information, keystrokes, color of hair, food you eat, what you bought last week. That's not good, but we like cookies and milk. You know, it's real interesting. I remember when I first saw the book, mine just went blank, Subliminal Seduction. When the movie industry used to intersplice every 24 frames, they put in a frame of something they wanted you to buy. Coca-Cola, Pepsi-Cola, popcorn. And of course they were caught, and to our knowledge, forced to stop.
Yeah.
Have they really stopped?
That's right.
Do we know what has been fed to us? And we really don't. And I just think that, you know, awareness, becoming aware, and also this, everything we do, you have to be intentional, and you have to have a purpose, I think, and you have to own it. And if what you intended didn't get delivered or received in the way that what you planned, well, get back to work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, and don't beat yourself up for being wrong. Beat yourself up for being lazy, for not trying to fix what you decided was wrong.
Yeah. Okay.
But self-flagellation has no place in my life.
No. Yeah, we do. These are principles that we teach: intentional living, extreme ownership, and you're right. Purpose. I mean, how do we decipher, you know, where to think, how to think, and our intention if we haven't laid down a foundation of purpose, and that purpose to include, what's that journey like, who to become. In our next quarter, we've already talked about putting together like a eulogy. So it's kind of like,
Wow.
what do I want people to say about me? And that changes my path today, perhaps, right?
Right. Block out that sunlight there. Yeah, it's real interesting for me in my journey. The last week of February, I began a position as executive director of a spiritual retreat center. And I told the board I really like challenges. And that was the last week of February. And here we are, 20 acres, 44 beds, commercial kitchen, swimming pool, labyrinth, abutting 200 acres of a nature preserve. And there, March 1 hit. And my mind immediately went to, how can we provide this sanctuary, given the fact that people couldn't come visit to what they were used to? And, had to use the technology. How to make this, okay, so right now what we're doing, I call it two-dimensional communication.
Yeah.
The telephone is one-dimensional.
Yeah.
Looking at the screen is two-dimensional, and being able to hug is three-dimensional.
Yeah.
Well, we've had to come to accept that two-dimensional can be intimate. Mm-hmm. Those of us who have been presenting know that folks haven't seen each other. I mean, I did a workshop, we had a retreat for kids, ninth graders, a couple of weekends ago. And a congregation brought down 9 ninth graders and their parents, 22 people. And it was socially distant, all the programming was outside. And the kids were just so excited about being able to see one another. That was in person. 2 weeks before that, we had my organization is 250 years old, and we had our sesquicentennial celebration, which was planned to be in person. It had to be online. And there was a moment that we had a little technical glitch. And I'm panicking as much as I can panic. And I came back, and everybody on the screen was so happy to be able to talk to one another, even though it was just this two-dimensional pathway.
I know. And I again, we're about out of time, but what I'm seeing, I think people as a whole, they do want their freedom. They do want to hug. They do want to be with one another. And there's a certain amount of freedoms that will be taken away, that'll be placing people in a situation like, for example, really, we're supposed to wear masks inside our house now. Really? I mean, it's getting blatantly out of hand to where people are seeing the writing on the wall, and they're saying, no, life is a risk. Life is a risk. And we've gone through thousands of years in different situations, in different environmental and different climates and different bugs and different things. And here we are, more people on the planet than there's ever been. I don't think we're going to go away. And we need to focus on and think about what's going on here. And again, I'm going to get you that piece. I'm going to get this out to my clients. This piece on COVID will blow you away. Mm-hmm. But like you said, there's always profit to be made in crisis. And we can certainly change things through crisis. We can see through it. This is what it's done. Now, is there a place now where people are going to appreciate so much more their wife, their husband, their kids, their parents, and get together? Yes, I think there's blessings out of this if we all look for them. And like you said, we have a benefit of using technology right now, thank God, but let's not get overbearing with it to where people accept. When I hear this, oh, this is the new world. No, it's not. No, it's not. The world is going to be the world. We're still going to get together. We're still going to get back to things if we choose to do that. And more people, I believe, are waking up and choosing to think, and then the people that are choosing not to, and just as I call them, it is what it is, sheep. And so thank God for people like you. Keep getting your books out and stuff. In fact, is there anything that you have out there that you'd like to share that people can learn more?
I'm sure. My website is diemjones.com. My name,
Diem Jones.com.
And there are creative products. I have 3 CDs and 2 books that I have on that site that are available. The CDs, everything's for sale. Sale meaning lower than the suggested retail price.
Discounted.
And I'm going to put on the Techno Primal manifesto, which
great.
I'll have that link on that by the time we get off this call. I think that, you know, as we embrace our universe, as we come together as that race of peoples, you know, we've got to begin to exchange and empower. And just because I learned something from you, whoa, now you get to watch me take it and run.
Yeah.
And I might modify it slightly, might do exactly the same thing, but that's what we have to, we got to start passing the baton.
I'm with you. And just, you know, we're told to, you know, love our neighbor. That's not that hard. We're also told to love our enemy. And that's more difficult. It's real easy to love you. You're loving me back. That's easy. But we're supposed to love our enemies. And that took me a long time to learn. But I'll tell you what, when you practice that, those people that are coming defensive in a place where they're perceived as enemy, it kind of melts that wall down pretty quick. It beats the hell out of trying to just push back. And I think that more and more people are starting to realize, how about I get to know you? How about I don't judge you? How about we just try to, there's enough problems going on in this world that you and I, we don't need to be part of that. It's just like my wife and I have such a blessing relationship. I know you do too. And from what I know of Carol, she's just a dawn. But there's still sometimes, you know, disagreements. And, you know, I know the other day, Mindy and I, you know, were kind of involved in the disagreement, not anything big deal, but there's a part of me in the past, I would have probably pushed a little bit more. And I just kind of stopped and like, the last person I need to have any, you know, quarrels with or anything is you. There's plenty of that shit out there I can go get. And I just immediately just dropped it and said, you know, I just hugged her, she hugged me, and we took the dogs for a walk. And it's just like, you know, look at you, be grateful, have gratitude, the people in your life, love them, do what you can, and reach out and forgive the debts of your enemy and let them be the ones to see, like you said, not what we always hear. Watch the rhythm. How's this person behaving? How is they acting? How are they acting? And make a demonstration of that.
I have 2 quick things to share. One, we're all warriors. And if a warrior has a flat shield and something comes at it, you get pushed back.
Yeah.
Make your shield a parabolic reflector.
Yeah, we're losing you, Diem.
Standing broad shoulder.
I think we're losing you.
Appreciating you.
That's too bad.
Turn move in direction. I've never liked my before.
Yeah, I want to hear.
Okay.
Diem, you just broke up. We lost the whole thing. I'm hoping that this will clear here in a second so you can tell us about that shield, but you just broke up there and you're kind of froze right now. So I hope you can still hear me, guys. That's Diem Jones. And I enjoyed that conversation. I hope that you did. And I love your feedback. If you enjoyed this conversation and you want to get more of you know, interesting people on that are thinkers, right? Conscious living, and, you know, have some backgrounds into what is going on, like what we see with Social Dilemma. I can get some more people that have some backgrounds when it comes to what's going on, how are we being trained, you know, what's going on with technologies and social media and so forth. I've got some friends that we can take a deeper dive in that have a background in this, and they know the psychology and what's happening to us as a herd, so to speak. So let me know. There you are. We lost you there. I don't know. You were talking about your shield, you know, make it parabolic, make it, you know, curved, and then we lost you, but I wanted you to finish up on that real quick.
So the other thing is, you know, if I don't want if energy is coming at me that I don't want, I just turn sideways.
Yeah, there
Look
you
at
go.
the difference in that target.
That's right.
Just like that. You know, bless everybody. You just don't get invited to dinner. Not everybody does. And that's
right.
okay.
That's okay.
You know, and I'm fully in agreement. We have far too many sheep. And let's not be sheep.
Yeah.
Let's think about it. Let's be about it. Let's be about the faith. Let's be about the place that we want to be in.
Yeah.
And the only way we can do that.
Be a part of the solution, guys. It feels good to just bring in. I know this sounds, you know, but love. I mean, it really, you know, I've matured in that, and I enjoy giving. I enjoy sharing, and I'm still a warrior. I'm meek. I'm humble. I'm still a warrior, and that's a good place to be. So, God bless you. Blessings on you, my brother. Tell Carol, my sister, thank you so much for you guys trusting us and coming on board. And I'm certain we'll follow up this with another conversation, and enjoy your Thanksgiving with your family. And we'll talk to you soon.
Happy Thanksgiving, and thank you for opening your door and your arms.
You got it, buddy. Take care.
Brother.